it going out there? So, we are back with another set of 5 movies from the Hooptober Marathon for 2020, and this one starts into the, well, I shouldn't say starts, but we're getting into the good stuff here. The more modern, a little bit more violent type horror movies. The first one we're going to talk about is Rabid, and this was from 1977. This is a David Cronenberg film. And it has Marilyn Chambers in it, and she was some kind of a porn star from like the 70s or whatever. She was a little bit before my time, so I know the name, but I don't really know who she is or like anything she's been in. But she was in this movie, and she shows off the goods a little bit. Really, I don't think any of that was needed. I mean, I think it was more of a 70s thing. Like, you could have gone the whole movie without seeing the boobies, but whatever. She was definitely an attractive person. So this movie is a little bit of body horror. It's a little bit of disease. It definitely covers a different country. I believe this is Canada, and it's another decade. So it covers a lot of boxes in the marathon list. The movie was good. It starts off, her and her boyfriend are riding down the road on a motorcycle, and they get in an accident, and the accident happens just nearby the cosmetic surgery place. And so she gets hauled in. She's in horrible condition, and they don't have time to get her to an actual hospital. So they do the work there, and they put some kind of, I didn't quite get what it was, but they put some kind of grafting in place that caused some oddity to grow out of her armpit or something. So she's off killing people with her armpit, you know. It's got this thing that comes out and pops them. I mean, it wasn't terribly violent. It wasn't terribly gory either. I mean, it's an earlier film in his filmography, so it's not as bad as something like The Fly, or, you know, it doesn't have all of the newer stuff. But it was good. This one I enjoyed quite a bit. And it kind of goes from her having issues and getting people killed or killing people over to also when they come back to life, their comeback is kind of like a zombie kind of thing or something. It's like a disease that spreads, and she's basically the source of it, patient zero. And that was kind of the whole story. There was part of it that kind of it reminded me a lot of, because I think I just watched The Crazies, but I just watched the remake of The Crazies. I didn't watch the 70s version, but I think Rabid would go good with the 70s version of The Crazies, because they have some similarities towards the end. It was a good movie. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. The next movie I watched was a movie called The Evil, and it's from 1978. This one was a little strange. This one, it's kind of like Rose Red. If you've ever seen Rose Red, Stephen King's, I think it was a made-for-TV thing. But if you've ever seen that, this is kind of like that. Some people go to it's not really a house, it's more of a dormitory kind of thing with kitchens and stuff like that, and housing. I can't remember what they said it was initially for, but these people are setting it up for like a drug rehab or something like that for people to come and stay and everything. So they're going to come in and clean the place out, but it's like haunted or whatever. The kills were okay. They could have been better in some cases, but there were some decent ones. And the movie was kind of cool. I dug this one. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars too. There was a certain part in the movie which reminded me a lot of where Neo goes up and talks to the architect in The Matrix, but it's like a whole different scenario. Kind of similar though, dude in a white suit on a chair talking to somebody and explaining everything. It was kind of neat. So I'm kind of wondering if that scene didn't come from this movie, but it was kind of cool. I dug this one a lot. It's on Shudder. And yeah, this was a cool one. These are, movies like this is why I love this marathon, is because I find new stuff and I'm like, yeah, these first 2 were great. The next one is called Terra Train, and this is from 1980. Now this one had, Jamie Lee Curtis in it. And I think, I'm pretty sure this is after Halloween, because I think Halloween was 79 if memory serves. But she was in this movie, and she's kind of one of the stars of it and everything. So, she's in it. It's not like she's like a side character or anything. And she did a really good job in the whole thing. This movie was my single location movie. I needed something that was in one single location. Now, I'm going to let this one slide because it kind of wasn't. The very beginning section, like before the credits and before the announcements and all that, they have a piece in there that sets up the whole thing. And in the setup, you know who's going to be the killer because, I mean, it's pretty obvious the way it's set up. So there's like no surprise to it. But it's on a college campus. They play a prank. Something goes wrong. You pretty much can see where things are going from there. Now, when they get on the train, it's like a few years later, and they're going to have I guess they do this big New Year's party, and they're about to graduate. So they're going to do this party on a train this time. The surprise guest in here was David Copperfield, of all people. I guess this is like his one and only movie credit or first movie credit, something like that. But he's in here as a magician and he's doing some tricks and stuff. And it's kind of neat. They actually incorporate him into the movie very well. Again, the kills are kind of 70s style. They're not like horrendously violent, but they are good. Some of them are pretty good. There is a big twist in this story, which you kind of know where things are going, but the way it unfolds is worth to see. So I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I think I had to rent this from Amazon Prime. Like, it wasn't rentable on Google. I had to go to Amazon Prime to rent it. So whatever weird license this has, it's on Amazon. But it was good. I like this one a lot too. So again, I gave that one 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next one on my list was a little bit of a disappointment. This was Mortuary from 1983. I kind of anticipated this to be really good. Like, I love Phantasm and the whole, funeral home setup and everything. And I thought this was going to be sort of like that in some respects. The movie isn't bad. I mean, Phantasm's definitely a B movie. This is okay. I mean, it's decent and everything, but the whole movie itself is a little bit long. I don't want to say boring, but it was an interesting movie throughout, but it just drug on a little bit too long. Like, they could have cut some stuff out of it. What you're going to want to watch this movie for, I gave this one 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was okay. The reason you watch this movie is Bill Paxton. He makes the whole movie. He plays the son of the mortuary guy, and he's this weirdo, crazy kind of person, and he just runs with it, and it was great. The other cast was okay. They had some like seance, black magic kind of looking stuff in there, witchery kind of things, but none of it ever really went anywhere. Like, it could have gone someplace cool, but they didn't. Like, where I thought things were going didn't quite go there. But like I said, Bill Paxton's performance was great. The rest of the movie was just so I enjoyed it. I wish this was a little bit better, though. That's the only downside to it. Now, the last movie I'm going to talk about is from 1985, and this is called Warning Sign. This was a disease-based movie. And the first thing I'm going to tell you about this is that it's got an awesome cast. Sam Waterston is, I believe he's from Law & Order. He's one of the lawyers from there, like the tall dude. Kathleen Quinlan, I think she was in Event Horizon. Yaphet Kotto was in Running Man, and he was also in Alien. Jeffrey DeMunn, who was he? I can't remember off the top of my head. He was in The Green Mile, The Mist, Shawshank Redemption, The Blob, so you know him being around. And then Richard Dysart, he was in The Thing. So I see all these people, and I'm like, man, all these people are familiar from all these other movies that I've seen. I thought this was going to be great. It's got a great setup. It's your biotech company has something spill, and it gets loose and everything. So I had high hopes for it. The problem is the movie takes like one step forward and then one step back, and it never really gets out of that cycle. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was kind of right down the middle for me. So, and that's if I put something at 3 stars, that's my middle road right there. So they start off, they're in the facility, things go bad, and so the one cop lady, the one security lady, she puts the code in and tells it to lock down. Well, I thought the lockdown procedure was cool. They dropped down some plastic caution tape, And then they have the doors come down. You know, hey, warning, we're going to have this door come down. It's going to crush you if you're underneath it. So don't be here. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought things were going someplace cool. Like the next scene, a couple of people got out through the doorway while it was closing. The next scene has the cleanup crew coming in, and they're not even in hazmat suits. They're just like show up. They grab the 2 or 3 people that got out, and they throw them in these plastic suits, and they're not wearing anything themselves. And I'm like, okay, so you have this lockdown procedure, and then you just walk over to them and cover them up like it's nothing. I was like, that's kind of a little As the story proceeds, you meet a few more people, and everybody kind of gets brought into it, and then they start going into the facility. Some of it had a nice Resident Evil vibe to it, the original Resident Evil movie, when they start going down into the facility and everything and unlocking it all. And there was like this wasn't just a biological agent that killed people, like it kind of brought them back as zombie type. Not really zombies. I don't think it killed them. I think it just knocked them out for a temporary amount of time. And then when they came back, they were like rage, roid rage or something. They were ready to go and kill somebody. So that was kind of how the movie played out. And I kind of wished it played more to the virus aspect and less to the quote unquote zombie kind of thing. I thought that was a bit needless, with them going off into some weird thing and getting all puffy and dying and stuff. I thought that was enough. Then they carried it over into this rage-inducing thing, and I was like, okay, whatever. It was a good movie, but like I said, there was some good stuff, and then there was some bad stuff, and it really never got above that. I don't want to say mediocre, but it never got above that middling kind of thing. The cast was great. I loved the cast. I loved seeing all these people I've known from other movies all together in one place. But just overall, the movie, it could use some work. I wouldn't mind watching this one again, though. Actually, all 5 of these I enjoyed, and I would definitely watch them all again. I don't know that I would buy any of them, but they were good. I enjoyed them. So I don't know that I want to collect them, but I would rent them and watch them again, or if they came up somewhere and I could check them out, I probably would. But at any rate, that's the next 5 on my list. And I'm about ready to start Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 and get through those. And I got some Puppet Master coming up and whatever all other good stuff's coming up. So as we progress through the 80s and start getting into the 90s, we're going to get into some violence, some real good violence, some real good gore and things. These movies were good, decent for the violence and gore, but not like great. Once we start getting into the newer stuff, it's going to get good. It's going to get really violent and gory, and I'm psyched for it. I also have to say that I've watched 10 of these movies so far, and I've been absolutely happy with all 10 movies. Even though Mortuary kind of sucked a little bit, it had some redeeming qualities to it. Last year I had to watch Hobgoblin, and that movie sucked ass horribly. So this year I don't think I've got anything like that necessarily, but I haven't got to Killjoy yet either. Those might be bad. But at any rate, that's the next 5 down, so we'll see you on the next one. Take care.